This is my video overview of my final project for KSP 619. On the home page I have a brief description of the website, located here. There are a variety of lessons provided, all of which could be used for senior high age students. On the left hand side, each lesson is identified and supplemented with a separate resource page. The first lesson details an assignment from Into Thin Air. A teacher would use this lesson as a review at the end of a novel in preparation for a final test or essay. To complete this lesson, the student would first log into Kahoot, an online resource that allows students to create games and quizzes or choose from a large list of pre-created ones. The students would take a quiz or two depending upon student involvement and watch a short 20-minute documentary on YouTube and be introduced to the final essay question. On the bottom, you'll find the resource page. The resource page contains a link to the Kahoot quiz, which we'll open here, and the short YouTube documentary that the students would watch. The second lesson deals with the short story, The Open Boat. The students in this class would be familiar with the concept of symbolism and allegory. We would first discuss how the story is an allegory for man's struggle against the unpredictability of life. Then students would have their own chance to write their own allegory. The students will first write a simple story, something like The Three Little Pigs, something like that. Next they would choose one of 3 technology tools to present their video. They could create a jing over still frames. They could upload a video of students doing a skit, upload that to YouTube, or they could create a comic strip using the online resource of Toondoo. On the bottom you'll find the resource page. The resource page contains first the rubric that will be used, and also just a picture of the Toondoo workspace. As you can see, it's really easy. You drag a background and you can drag the characters in and put the voice boxes in here. So they have both those options to create their presentation. The third lesson focuses on public speaking. Students will create a demonstration style speech. Students will record their speech and upload it to YouTube. This is done for a number of reasons. One, it gets students comfortable for giving a speech that is presented electronically. Second, the school environment can sometimes limit what students can present. For example, if they want to drain an oil on a car, it's not something they can do in a classroom. So allowing them to videotape it gives them the option to choose these options that they couldn't do within the normal school structure. The resource page has a number of things here. The first is a YouTube link, which I would show the students of a demonstration speech that would look much like the one that they would give. In addition, I have a template that they would do their outline on for their demonstration speech, and students would be familiar with doing an outline. There's also a rubric here that would be used to score their outline. And also a PDF that I've created to help students upload things to YouTube. This is something that I've used in my class, and the kids have not used it before, and they kind of know what it is. So lesson 4 focuses on grammar, in particular sentence fragments. Okay, so as a class, on Fridays we spend a little bit of time looking at grammar. We do sort of longer units on Fridays. During the week we do small little mini lessons. So this would be a typical Friday lesson. We'd start with a short review video on YouTube. Second, we would use the interactive lesson on Grammar Bites. Then students would work individually and as a group to complete these exercises. So on the resource page contains first a link to the YouTube video that we would watch to review sentence fragments. This is a great video. If anybody out there is looking to look for good grammar videos, Shmoop puts out some great, kind of funny, easy to follow along videos. I highly suggest looking at those. And then a link to the exercise that we'd use on Grammar Bites. They have a handful of interactive lessons. They're sort of fun for the kids. As you can see here, And they get to choose what it is, whether it's common splice or a few sentence, and then they sort of have these fun little graphics. The kids really enjoy it. We like to do them as a class and individually. Going back to the lessons here, the fifth lesson also focuses on the novel of Into Thin Air, specifically the vocabulary that is found in the novel. The first resource that students will be using in this lesson is Quizlet. Once on the website, the students will be given a list of vocabulary words from the novel. Students will spend time working individually and in pairs reviewing the terms and using the resources on the website to understand the words. The next, the students would take the quiz on the website, and they would have to prove to me that they took the quiz and scored well enough on it to move on to the second assignment, which would be using a set of words that I would give to them, and they would have to create a newscast. A fictional newscast can be on anything, but they'd have to use the words, record it, upload it to YouTube, and we would watch them as a class. So on the resource page here, first is a link to the Quizlet website that has all of the different vocabulary words right here. As you can see, there's a handful of things that you can do, something as simple as flashcards. But the test is right here that they would take on it. And like I said, once they feel like they're comfortable taking it and they score well enough on it, they show that to me, and then they can move on to doing their skit or their newscast. On the bottom here, this is the rubric, very simple, that'll be used to score their newscast. And this is just a assignment description here that would give the details of the assignment to the students. The sixth lesson focuses on Romeo and Juliet and the concept of theme. If we look at the plan of action here, first the students would be given the assignment description. They have to choose one project to complete. The first project would be for the students to create a mixtape. This tasks the students with the challenge of finding 10 songs that can be from any era, any genre, that somehow connects to a theme found in Romeo and Juliet. Or students can choose a second project, which would be a photo essay. It's similar to the first, but students have to find black and white photographs that connect to the theme. The third project, like the other two, deal with theme, but students are given the challenge of writing a skit whose theme mirrors what we find in Romeo and Juliet. All three presentations must be presented using technology, and each presentation has a writing component. On the resource page, I have a handful of different lyric websites. The reason that I put these on here is that our school firewall sort of blocks out some of these lyric websites. So these are the ones that our school website will allow. So I'll give those to the kids ahead of time. I also included a couple large databases of black and white photography that students can page through. And again, they'd be looking for pictures here that they feel represent the theme found in Romeo and Juliet. The last thing I have here is a sample of a script that I would use, and I would give to the students that would be writing the script, and I'd go over how to format it from this sample. The seventh lesson would be a drama lesson, and it'd be included in our drama unit. Okay, and it's focusing on this idea of monologue. Okay, first we would review a famous cinematic monologue from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Second, students would search for their own monologue to present. Then third, students would record their monologue over a presentation of still frames that match the mood created by the monologue. Lastly, the students would create a mind map that details the characterization that occurs within their monologue. Students are familiar with the term of characterization as well. So on the resource page, I have linked to the Samwise Gamgee speech. This would be the one that we'd be looking at as a class. The first video has just the text. The second video is the same speech, but this time it actually has the images from the movie, and we would talk about how the images help create the mood and the characters along with the text. I would also give students a list of monologues here that they could use to choose their own. It could be a movie or one from literature. It's really up to them here. So this is a list of the top 50. And this one, most students use this as a huge list of literary monologues. So students would have to pick one from there. The last resource that I have on the resource page is a link to the bubble map website, where they would create the bubble map talking about the characterization found in their monologue. I also have an example here of where I have sort of the character. This would be from the YouTube video that we watched, Samwise. You know, what do we learn about him directly? Right, and here we learn that he doesn't believe that they are suited for the journey. And we know that from this quote right here, that he understands their purpose on the journey. We learn that from this quote here. So they would do a bubble map for direct characterization, and they would also do one for indirect characterization coming off the other side. And they would need multiple examples. I also included the monologue rubric here on the bottom. Again, very simple, but it explains sort of each different part of what I'm looking for and the score on it. The eighth and final lesson. Okay, this is from a naturalism writing course that I teach. It uses the text "Death of an Innocent." It is the story that was used, that was written before Into the Wild. As a backdrop, first students would watch the YouTube video "Living Off the Grid" as a Kickstarter for the discussion. Second students would complete the 3 mini project as an individual or in a group. The first project requires students to draw blueprints for an off-the-grid living space and include a list of equipment that they would use from their research. These blueprints would be scanned into a PDF and presented to the class. The second project requires students to explore traditional food preservation methods. They have to research it, but they would have to create a visual presentation to teach the class using some form of technology. The third project focuses on commonly misidentified edible flora, which connects back to the story. This information will be presented in a similar method as the previous 2, driven primarily by visuals. On the resource page, I have a handful of things here. First, I have a link to the YouTube video that we would watch, this off-the-grid living, where they cover a handful of different off-the-grid living techniques. They give the kids some inspiration for designing their own. The next, I have some, this is a student example here of a, so first this is the blueprint that got scanned in. This is the visual that they used to teach the food preservation, and then this is the commonly misidentified flora website here with 2 plants that are commonly misidentified. I also have a PDF file that explains each project, and this is just an example that I gave the kids here, focusing on the visual, not the text. And that is the video overview of my project. Thank you.